What's happening, everybody? It's Troy here. Welcome back to my channel, guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. Today I am going to be doing another species spotlight video. My first video was such a success that I have come back with a second one. So I thank you guys for all of your kind words, the support on the video. It has encouraged me to make another video for you guys. Today I'm going to be talking to you all about a really unique and rare orchid. It is Pleurothallis cypripedioides. So maybe you have one and you just want to know how to take care of it better. Maybe you've never even heard of it and you want to know more about this orchid. So if this sounds like your cup of tea, please stick with me. Before we get into the video, however, if I could get you to maybe like this video and subscribe to my channel, don't forget to turn on the notification bell, guys, so you can stay up to date with my most recent content. That would be so greatly appreciated. And with that said, guys, let's get into this video. So today, guys, I am going to be talking to you all about Pleurothallis cypripedioides. Let's first start with this cool little miniature talking about where it comes from in the world so we can better understand what culture we are going to give our orchid. Pleurothallis cypripedioides is coming from the southeastern part of Ecuador. So if we go down into Ecuador, southeastern part, that puts us in the Andes Mountains, down near Loja, all right? And so that's where this orchid is coming from. And there it is receiving really nice weather year-round. It's a total intermediate orchid. That's what that's telling us, because the temperatures there don't really get that low and they don't really get that high. So that puts us in the intermediate category, which is perfect. I cultivate it in my cooler grow space, but we'll get to that in a second. So we know that it is from the forest. It is coming from elevations of 800 to 1100, so it's a little bit higher up there in the forest, and that means it's going to be deciduous in the winter months versus the spring months. And so we're going to have a little bit of higher light in the winter months than we are going to have in the spring and summer months. And we are also going to have a little less rainfall during those months. So those are things to be mindful of when we're going to cultivate in our homes this orchid. So with that said, when it was sold to me, it was sold in the temperature range of 55 degrees Fahrenheit to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and so I keep mine in my cooler grow space because my upstairs grow space gets about 10 degrees warmer than that. My cool grow space tops out about 76 to 77. However, this likes to go down to 55 at night, and I go down in the winter time to about 58, 59 degrees in my cool grow space. So I figured I don't go as warm down here, but I figured maybe it would enjoy it because I could get that cool down for the orchid. So I decided to choose my cooler grow space. And I just told you I'm going down to 58, 59 degrees in the dead of winter. And then in the middle of summer, I will be all the way up to 76. We top out at 77. It will never go above 77 in my cooler grow space. So it's a cool to intermediate grow space. But when I was doing my research, I discovered other people were growing this in a warm to hot grow space and suggested growing it on the warmer side. So that tells me that maybe this orchid can take a wider range of temperatures than what we realize. Some orchids are like that. There's the Hariella retrocollis. I grow mine on the cooler side, but I've seen people growing that orchid really hot, and it does well in both conditions. So maybe this is an orchid that's really versatile like that. I don't know, I haven't experimented. She did so well in my downstairs grow space, my cooler grow space, that I've kept her down there. So what is she getting? What kind of lighting is she getting? And how am I watering this orchid? So in my cooler grow space, you're getting a humidity right now in the summertime between 80 and 85 degrees. It'll bump down to about 78, 75% humidity at nighttime. But during the daytime, it is 80 to 85% humidity in my grow space. And right now, I am not going down to 58 degrees Fahrenheit. I am in the middle of summer. Getting the house that cool would be quite a challenge. So right now my lows are about 64, 65 degrees, which is giving me about a 12-degree differential between the day and night. So I do have that. I have my night drop and I have high humidity. This orchid, you could probably, because of the way it flowers, if we look at the blooms, we could probably grow this mounted, or you would maybe want to put it in a taller pot like I have. So where it's sitting in my grow space, the pendulous blooms don't matter because I have that open wooden shelf, and so the blooms will just fall through it and it's fine. It doesn't get in the way. But this is definitely orchid. I could see that maybe you'd want to mount it just because of the way the blooms are, kind of like with a Dracula, right? The Draculas come down from the bottom. And this doesn't come down, well, it does. It comes from the base of the plant and then it shoots outwards pendulously, right? So this would be a good idea to maybe mount this orchid. However, I have chosen to grow mine in a pot, a tall pendulous pot, or a taller upright pot for the pendulous blooms. That's the whole reason why I put it in this pot. But I chose to grow mine, if we look, in a small lava rock. So this is a small grade, let's see. I don't know if you all can see it that well. But this is a small grade lava rock. You could call it bonsai soil, small grade lava rock, anything like that. And it seems to do great. I just got this orchid in January. Like I said, the person suggested to cultivate it in complete intermediate temperatures, and I have, on the cooler side of intermediate anyway. And I water this orchid twice a week. So I water this orchid once with the rest of my collection, and then I go back through and I top her off with my mister. I have an electric handheld mister, and I'll just go back through like 3 or 4 days later, just top off her media a little bit. And this is the result I'm getting, guys. I'm feeding this orchid fairly decent right now because she is putting on such a spectacular bloom show. If we look, I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but there's zigzags, the blooms zigzag. Then if we look at the actual bloom, this orchid is affectionately called the fuzzy toilet bowl orchid. So if you guys are seeing these blooms, that's understandable as to why they have dubbed it the fuzzy toilet bowl orchid. I do not call mine that. It is not fragrant. We have this zigzag pattern, and then they just come down pendulously, and it just continues. It's kind of like my epidendrum upstairs, how it just continues to grow its spike throughout the grow season. That's what this does. So your older blooms will fall off, but then it'll branch out on other branches. So don't cut off these spikes until it's completely done, because it can continue to spike and put out more blooms throughout the season. And after it's done blooming, I think I'm just gonna leave the spikes to see if at a later time throughout the year it reblooms off those older spikes. So I will give you guys an update on that if I discover that information. Not surprisingly, there's not a lot of information out there about this orchid. I think it's really neat. It's really unique. It's not easily to come by, so you might have to look for a little while before you find it. But it's cool orchid nonetheless. I like having unique blooms around the grow space, and it's not fragrant. It's been really easy to cultivate. It is a miniature, so this is about the height we're gonna get. As far as lighting goes, this is under a Barina LED tube, but it's just under one tube. So if you guys were to look at my Rupiculus Lalias, they're under 2 tubes. That's medium to high light. 1 tube is just medium light. Where they're at in nature, they like to be shaded. especially during the warmer months. And where they're coming from a montane forest, there's going to be some deciduous trees in the wintertime. So I feel like the lighting would go up. So if you were cultivating this outside, I would increase the lighting in the winter and decrease it in the summer. I would keep this plant more shaded in the summer, and then less shaded in the winter. In the winter, I'll reduce watering some. So instead of twice a week, we'll probably go down to once a week. But I will keep an eye on my leaves and all of that. This is kind of like a Masdevallia. There's no storage, there's no pseudobulb, there's just the leaf. So I imagine if these get dried out, it's probably very easy to do, and they'll probably, like a Masdevallia, get like that stress to them and just drop their leaf. I don't know that for sure. I haven't let her dry out. I imagine that's what you would encounter if you did. So yeah, there's no storage other than the leaf on this. There's no pseudobulb, there's no cane, there's nothing like that. So I would definitely pay attention to your moisture level with this if I was somewhere warm and dry. And the warmer you are, maybe the more shading you should do. The cooler you are, you could probably allow it to have more light. Is my understanding. However, this does not like full sun. This wants to have some sort of shading, medium or low light. I wouldn't go high light with this. I haven't really pushed it, but I would say grow this similar to an intermediate Masdevallia. If you have Masdevallias or Draculas, this should be really easy for you to cultivate. If you're growing indoors and you run your air conditioner a lot, so maybe your temperature range in your house is like 68 degrees to 75 degrees, I think this would do well for you. If you're just looking for, something unique and cool, this is the orchid. It's miniature, so you can put it really anywhere, indoors, outdoors. Just pay attention to your lighting, don't give it too much, and pay attention to your moisture levels. If your humidity is lower, your pots are going to be drying out quicker, so you might want to check on your pots a little bit more. If you have high humidity, your pots will probably dry like mine, so you'll be looking about twice a week waterings. If you mount this, I would definitely water every day. And if it's summer and it's really hot where you are, I would definitely water this twice a day. But this is what I've presented you all today. This is Pleurothallis cypripedioides. I didn't find anything cool on the name, like wasn't named after anyone. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of information, so I really don't know. I guess I could have looked up the Latin context of it, but I did not. So as far as I know, this was not named after anyone. I always like the history like that, like who was named after, what that person did in the world of botany or in the world of orchids, whatever it might be. So sometimes there's some really cool, interesting stories about the people who had such a passion for orchids that deserve to have that recognition when the moment allows. So thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed this species spotlight. If there's something I missed, just leave it down in the comments. I will get back to you on that. If there's something you want to add, you grow this orchid, maybe you're growing it warmer, tell us about that, how that's going for you. And maybe you're growing in a different media than I am, so maybe you could comment about that. Whatever it might be, just leave it down below. Please guys, like, comment, share, subscribe this video, or subscribe to the channel, share the video. You know the drill. I thank you guys for being here with me. I hope I didn't take up too much of your all's time. Hope that you enjoyed this little miniature. And look around, you might be able to find it for yourself. So thank you all, take care, and have a great weekend.